Will letting your child, who's close to the legal drinking age, drink before they're legal, will that stop them from binge drinking later in life? Our next guest says yes. Stanton Peele is the author of Addiction Proof Your Child. There's his book. He's here in New York City. And in Tampa, we've got Calvina Fay. She's the executive director for the Drug-Free America Foundation. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
All right. Stanton, start with the premise of your book.
The premise of my book is that your children are going to be exposed to alcohol, possibly even drugs, and other addictions. What about the internet? You have to create a human being who's able to manage their own lives and deal with things independently. For example, at 21, they're going to be able to drink legally.
Sure. And, you know, when my son was going through the admission process to get into college, we'd go and we'd talk to a number of deans of admission, and they'd say, you know, a lot of kids, when they get here, they're away from their mom and their dad, and they just go crazy, and they get in trouble. And
alcohol is the best example of that. How do people commemorate their 21st birthday? They go out and get loaded. 50% of 21-year-olds in America binge drink regularly. We're not preparing them appropriately.
And you just returned from Italy, and there's not really a terrible binge drinking problem over there.
I came from Ireland and then Italy. In Ireland, you see young men reeling around the streets and puking. They're the country that's closest to us. They want to raise their drinking age to 21. In Italy, I'm worried for your next guest. They allow kids to drink legally at 16, and if you're accompanied by a parent at an even younger age, she's going to have to go and nuke out a lot of Europe. We're the only country that limits drinking to 21-year-olds.
All right. Calvina, tell us your point of view.
Well, I disagree, and not only do I disagree, but science and historical experience disagrees. We know that children's brains are still developing, and to put a toxin into the brain is not useful for their development. We know that when people start drinking young, they're much more prone to addiction, and we know that the two things that are most important to prevent problems later in life with drugs and alcohol is to show children the harms of drugs and alcohol, and for society to not tolerate it. So tolerance and showing that there is harm in it are the two most protective factors we have.
Right. And Calvina, I think you'd agree that kids in high school now, these days, and junior high as well, they get plenty of education about drugs and alcohol. But it seems that there's such mystery to it that maybe his argument makes some sense. You know, why make it such a big deal? I'm suddenly 21, I'm going to go crazy. Why not, as a parent, just let him taste this stuff so that it's not a big mystery?
Let me disagree with her on the science. First of all, 33% of 18-year-olds, 40% of 20-year-olds, and 50% of 21-year-olds binge once a month. It's binge drinking that's bad for your health. They've been told, American students believe it's worse to drink 1 or 2 drinks a day, which actually prolongs your life, than to binge drink on weekends. They're learning exactly the wrong thing here.
Calvina?
There's absolutely no evidence to back up Dr. Peele's theory. Just absolutely none. And a lot of evidence that contradicts it.
At Wake Forest, they found that people who were introduced to their children to alcohol at home were 1/3 as likely to binge. Are you aware of that study at Wake Forest? There is a study. It's in my book. You can read it. You can keep announcing what science says.
Are you aware of the study that comes out of Madrid that just was released that says that children that have been taught to drink since very young age, they have a very serious problem over there?
There's a very big difference between going out in the woods and drinking and being taught to drink by your parents.
Your opinion is totally unfounded.
Why did the people in Italy allow their children to drink at 16? Do you think they should be...
lots and lots of evidence that contradicts what your theory says.
Do you know that the Italians have the lowest binge drinking rate among teens?
We know about what works in drug prevention. I mean, you're just wrong. You're wrong.
You're expressing a cultural prejudice that's actually a negative impact on people.
All right.
Why would we want to teach our children something that's harmful to their brain and harmful to their body?
Calvina, you got the final word. Calvina Fay and Stanton Peele has got a new book out. If you'd like to read about it, it's Addiction Proof Your Child. We thank you both for joining us live today.
Thanks so much.